It felt like any ordinary pocket change until a glint caught your eye under the coffee shop's morning light. That tiny Roosevelt profile, struck just 9 years ago, looked ordinary until the date whispered 2015, and the edge revealed an odd misalignment. In that single moment, a humble dime transformed into a miniature marvel, sparking a collector's heart to race. What if dozens of these humble pieces slipped through circulation harboring hidden quirks? What if the next treasure lurks right in your change jar? Let's unravel the unexpected story behind one of the most talked about modern rarities in the numismatic world. Picture holding a coin that at first glance seems mass-produced by the billions, yet carries a secret flaw so elusive that only a trained eye or sheer serendipity reveals its worth. The 2015 Roosevelt dime, a design honoring our 32nd president, has become the poster child for modern-era collecting. Whether you inherited a roll from grandma or stumbled across one in your daily transactions, these little anomalies, off-center strikes, doubled dies, die chips, can catapult a dime's value from mere cents to hundreds of dollars overnight. Think of it as finding a misprinted photograph in an album, rare, intriguing, and undeniably exciting. To appreciate how a 2015 dime becomes a prized collectible, it helps to revisit the design's origins. The Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946, shortly after Franklin Delano Roosevelt's death, as a tribute to his advocacy for the March of Dimes and his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. Designed by John R. Sinek, his initials JS sit discreetly on the obverse, while the reverse features a torch flanked by oak and olive branches symbolizing liberty, strength, and peace. Fast forward to 2015. The Mint produced over 2 billion of these dimes across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco facilities. Yet within this sea of metal, die cracks, mint mark repunching, and other minting mishaps managed to slip through quality control, creating today's hidden gems. Examining one of these dimes under magnification reveals the telltale signs that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Off-center strikes will exhibit part of the design cutaway, yielding blank fields where Roosevelt's profile or the torch should stand. Double die errors show ghost-like doubling on lettering or the date, most often visible on the 2015 numerals or the motto encircling the design. Die chips might appear as unexpected blobs or raised areas on the rim or field, sometimes near the mint mark, D or P, indicating a tiny piece of the die has broken away during striking. These quirks, while minute, define the coin's rarity and intrigue. When it comes to putting a price tag on these anomalies, the market can be as unpredictable as the errors themselves. A standard circulated 2015 dime remains worth its 10-cent face value, perhaps commanding a modest premium, up to a couple of dollars, in uncirculated condition. But take an off-center specimen around 10% misaligned, and you're looking at roughly $100 to $250 in an online auction. Push that misalignment past 20%, and prices can climb into the $300 to $500 range, especially if the fields are crisp and the design elements remain well struck. Heritage Auctions sold a 2015 D dime with a 25% off-center strike in mint state for $480 in May 2024, showcasing just how much collectors will pay for that perfect blend of rarity and eye appeal. Beyond cold, hard numbers, there's a human story woven into each flawed dime. One collector recounts finding a 2015 P mint dime with a tiny die crack running through the date, discovered at a fast food drive-thru. The crack, invisible to most, gleamed under a loupe so beautifully that they immediately alerted a local coin club. Word spread, photos were shared, and within days, multiple collectors started hunting through pocket change, hoping to stumble upon their own numismatic treasure. That communal thrill, the feeling of being part of a shared detective story, elevates these modern errors from metal scraps to objects of fascination. Condition plays a starring role in determining value, even for error coins. A dime graded MS65 by PCGS or NGC, bright luster, no contact marks, fully defined design, can command twice the price of a similar error in MS63. At MS67, where the surfaces are nearly pristine, one might see prices jump into the $500 to $700 range for a dramatic off-center strike or bold double die. In proof sets, a PR69 example with a faint double date line might fetch $350 to $450, while a flawless PR70 can exceed $800 if the error is strong and the surfaces are immaculate. Collectors often debate whether the eye appeal of a softer strike outweighs the strict numerical grade. An MS65 with stunning orange-gold toning around the rim can sometimes outbid an MS67 that looks bland and lifeless. One fascinating 2015 dime story involves a private mint revelation. A batch of coins from Denver displayed unusual die clashing, when the obverse and reverse die strike each other without a planchet between them. This left fine lines of the reverse design faintly visible on the obverse fields and vice versa. That ghost-like mirroring, often called a VM clash among die variety enthusiasts, can turn an otherwise mundane dime into a conversation piece, prized for its surreal aesthetics. A collector who uncovered this variety in their change found instant recognition when they posted photos online. Experts identified it as one of fewer than 50 known examples, immediately elevating its value to the $600 to $900 range. Even beyond errors, certain 2015 dimes with rare die marriages, specific pairings of obverse and reverse dies, are cataloged and tracked. Die analysts assign VM numbers to these pairings, each with its quirks: a tiny die crack creeping from the torch base, a doubled rim at 4 o'clock, or a faint cud, a break in the die leaving a chunk of metal missing on the coin's edge. Collectors versed in VM lore seek out these varieties, sometimes paying a premium even for perfectly struck, full mint state examples, simply because the die pairing is scarce. The story of the 2015 Roosevelt dime also intersects with modern collecting trends. Metal detectorists have started to turn up errors in park change machines, and credit union tellers have begun flagging odd-looking dimes during deposits. Social media platforms have amplified each find, creating hashtags where collectors share photos and swap tips. Hashtag 2015 dime error and hashtag Roosevelt blind strike being two of the most popular. Let's talk about grading pitfalls. Many off-center dimes exhibit partial collar seating, where the metal flows unevenly against the collar during striking. Beginners might mistake this for an off-metal planchet, but true error collectors recognize the telltale spreading of design elements and the absence of the intended reeded edge in areas of overstrike. Auction descriptions occasionally mislabel these as broader planchet errors, leading to bidding wars among uninformed buyers. Of course, not every error specimen will command 5 figures, but the thrill lies in discovery. A circulated dime with a small cut on the rim might sell for $75, a delightful bonus for anyone sifting through rolls. Mint directors and interns consistently refine quality controls, making modern errors scarcer than in the past, so each find today shines a bit brighter against a backdrop of near-perfect mass production. It's a reminder that human craftsmanship and human error still play a role in our highly mechanized mints. As that sunlight glints off your loupe, revealing an off-center strike you hadn't noticed before, you'll understand why even a dime minted in 2015 can ignite the same passion that drove earlier generations to scour rolls for rare dates. This is more than pocket change. It's living history, fraught with tiny imperfections that speak volumes about craftsmanship, chance, and the joy of discovery. So hold on to that 2015 dime with pride. You never know when the next anomaly might surface and rewrite its humble story in the annals of coin collecting. Sliding into circulation just as America entered a new decade, the 1982 Roosevelt dime carries its own set of quirks that have sent collectors scrambling through pocket change for decades. When you lay a 1982 dime on the table, you might first notice its warm, satiny glow from copper nickel-clad layers, but a closer look could reveal a hidden tale of minting mishaps and fleeting rarities. With over 1 billion pieces struck across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, most spent years jingling in tills and piggy banks. Yet in that massive run, tiny errors, doubled dies, misaligned mint marks, off-center strikes escaped the mint's inspections, quietly waiting for someone to spot their numismatic value. Before exploring those anomalies, it helps to remember the design origins. John R. Sinek's classic portrait of President Roosevelt debuted in 1946 and remained remarkably consistent by 1982. The obverse shows a dignified profile, hair cresting like a steady wave, while Sinek's discreet initials nestle beneath the portrait. Flip the coin over and a torch flanked by olive and oak branches conveys liberty, peace, and strength, symbols chosen to honor both Roosevelt's legacy and America's enduring ideals. Although the design remained unchanged, the dies that stamped each dime bore tiny stress points, making them susceptible to cracks and doubling under relentless production pressure. By examining a handful of examples, collectors quickly learn which features to spot. Double die errors often manifest in crisp ghost images on the date or lettering. On a 1982 S proof, you might see a faint second 1982 shadow just behind the primary date, hinting that the die shifted slightly between impressions. Mint mark varieties can also be intriguing. Repunched mint marks, RPMs, at the Denver D sometimes show faint echoes above or beside the main letter. Off-center strikes reveal themselves when part of the torch or Roosevelt's jaw floats off the rim, creating a dazzling contrast between fully struck regions and blank fields. When it comes to valuing these curiosities, condition remains king. A well-worn, circulated 1982 dime stays at face value, 10 cents. But as soon as it steps into uncirculated territory, premiums appear. A clean MS63 example from Philadelphia might sell for $2 to $3, while an MS65 could fetch $6 to $10. Errors start to push those numbers much higher. An off-center strike at around 10% misalignment trades hands for $50 to $80 in circulated grades, climbing over $100 in mint state. Auctions have recorded a 15% off-center MS63 selling for $175, proof that even modest misalignments carry appeal. One standout 1982 dime made headlines when a Virginia collector discovered a dramatic duplex error. The coin had been struck on a nickel planchet and then accidentally restruck on a dime planchet, leaving faint copper traces in the fields. That bizarre layering of metals turned what would be a routine dime into a prize worth $1,200 at auction. Reports noted that only a handful of such pieces exist, each offering a visual reminder of the chaos that can ensue when minting machinery hiccups. Beyond off-center strikes and planchet mishaps, die cracks offer another avenue of discovery. A spiderweb pattern of tiny cracks radiating across the field or through the date can elevate a common dime into a collectible worth $30 to $40. One collector posted a 1982 D dime on an online forum showing a crack extending from the olive branch to the torch flame. He picked it out of a mixed roll and later sold it for $45. That modest profit underlines how slight imperfections can translate into unexpected rewards. Proof sets introduce yet another layer of rarity. The 1982 S proof dime, struck in San Francisco with specially polished dies, occasionally exhibits cameo contrast, frosted devices against mirrored fields. When a proof dime also displays a double date, it commands dual premiums, one for its cameo effect and another for the error. Recent sales have seen proof dimes graded PR69 DCM with subtle date doubling bring $250 to $350, while a rare PR70 DCM example with a bold double die soared to $550. Fewer than 20 such specimens are known, marking them as highlights for serious Roosevelt series collectors. Repunched mint marks deserve their own spotlight. At Denver, dies were hand-punched with the letter D, and occasionally the engraver adjusted placement and punched a second time. These small RPMs can appear as a faint second bump to the right, left, above, or below the primary mint mark. A 1982 D dime with a strong RPM at the 6 o'clock position sold online for $120 in uncirculated condition. While RPM premiums typically hover around $50 to $70 for MS64 to MS65 grades, exceptionally bold repunches in higher grades can crack the three-digit mark. Live auctions occasionally unveil jaw-dropping results. Heritage Auctions reported a 1982 SPR70 DCM proof dime with a distinct die crack roving through the motto, selling for $1,100 in late 2023. Another highlight emerged when a 1982 P Mint State dime with a massive 30% off-center strike reached $950, driven by its aesthetic balance. The misaligned strike exposed just enough of Roosevelt's face to remain recognizable while leaving a generous blank field. For collectors on a tighter budget, circulated error pieces still offer plenty of excitement. A worn MS62 coin with a small die chip near the rim might sell for $30, a scale that feels fair for someone picking through rolls at face value cost. Many local coin dealers quietly watch change trays for such finds, occasionally flagging odd pieces before they reach circulation. Community nickels and dimes hunts at clubs also fuel camaraderie. Hunters compare notes, loan magnifiers, and share a moment of collective discovery when someone pulls a surprising error from a mundane roll. Modern metal detectorists have also weighed in. Parks, schoolyards, and historical sites yield stray coins that escape detection. Some detectors pick up elongated planchets, but detecting a slight off-center strike requires a magnifier, a practice many hobbyists embrace after their first discovery. Social media groups dedicated to metal detecting often showcase 1982 Roosevelt dimes with faint doubling or tiny planchet laminations. Online communities have further democratized error discovery. Hashtags like hashtag 1982 dime find and hashtag Roosevelt error unite collectors worldwide, offering photo comparisons, grading tips, and marketplace alerts. Novices learn to distinguish genuine double dies from die wear, while veterans debate whether a particular die crack qualifies as a true error or a minor variety. This constant dialogue elevates knowledge and sharpens detection skills, fueling a cycle where each new post could inspire someone to revisit their coin jar. Despite heavier automation and stricter quality controls in the early 1980s, human craftsmanship still left its mark. These coins remind us that even with advanced presses, no production line is infallible. Mint directors regularly retire worn dies to maintain quality, but as each die aged, the likelihood of cracks and doubling rose, creating windows of opportunity for error hunters. Collectors who track vintage figures and die life cycles can sometimes predict when a new batch might yield more errors, combining data analysis with luck. Elusive planchet errors can also appear. Occasional lamination flaws, where the outer layer of copper-nickel peels away, produce odd raised flakes or scabs on the surface. Such pieces typically sell for $25 to $50, depending on their condition, and rarely exceed those levels unless paired with other errors. But even a small lamination spot sparks conversation, offering a tactile reminder that metal is malleable and subject to imperfections. By blending historical context, technical insight, and vibrant community anecdotes, the 1982 dime proves that even within a familiar design, variety thrives. Keep hunting, keep swapping stories, and when you eventually spot that perfect error, you'll hold more than a coin. You'll hold a chapter of numismatic history, stamped in copper and nickel and waiting for your discovery.